Welcome to Making Sense, a thing by Lingua Planta. Did you know that plants have a sense of smell and emit fragrances like it's their kind of language? When we find ourselves in nature, complex conversations are taking place all around us, constantly. Silent, invisible, but surprisingly sophisticated and easy to recognize when you know what to look out for or smell out for. Today I will talk about 6 scent molecules, where to find them in the wild and in perfume, what they mean in the life of plants. We're going on a field trip together to Paris because where else? We can't sit on a grass there, but we can smell it. So let's go. Hi, my name is Merle. I'm a natural perfumer and the founder of Lingua Planta, which is a natural perfume brand inspired by the language of plants. Because plants are talking in a way that we cannot understand with our ears, but perhaps with our nose and the help of science. Today we're going to dive into the language of plants. I want to lift the veil and take you on my little trip to discover some of the most easily recognizable scent molecules in the wild. We're going to the park and we're going to Paris, to the living room of my friends, where we have some peonies. So we're going to smell things that are easily accessible to us, which is, I think, greatly enhancing the fun of it, because then you can share with your friends at parties why the flowers are smelling a certain way, what the meaning is of the scent of grass that is freshly mown. I think that will be fun and I cannot wait to dive into this video. I hope you enjoy so much. First, a tiny little break to announce our experimental scent giveaway winner. Hi, so during the last video I told you that you can win experimental scents if you place a nice comment, like, subscribe, do a little bit of advertising for Making Sense. And this time Flora Woudstra won. Congratulations, Flora. She won a dandelion scent that is freshly made. It smells so good, like this honeyed, pollen-filled, beautiful, big, bold, yellow flower. Oh, so nice. There's no actual honey in it, but there's mimosa, there's labdanum, there's vetiver, there's neroli. It's gorgeous. I think I have to put this into production. And then there's also a freshly brewed tomato number 2. Also really nice. It smells a little bit more green than the last version, like sparkly green, like the leaves. Really nice. So I hope Flora enjoys these, and I hope you win next time. I have this tomato plant here. I love tomato plants because they're such active communicators. Their scent is very loud and clear, and I love it. So if you look very closely, you can see these glandular hairs that are quite sticky. So when you stroke them, they release this scent. These glands are called trichomes. Trichomes actively produce and store VOCs. Plants don't have noses and they don't have brains like humans have, but still they can detect scent molecules in the air around them. And they do so through their stomata, which we cannot see with the bare eye. So plants can smell, and they don't smell in a way that we do, but plants can sense volatile compounds, which are the scents that waft up in the air. That is why they are called volatile. And this is also how we can perceive them. And this is, for example, the scent of cut leaves, of blooming flowers, of nearby plants, of damage, of certain pests, insects, herbivores, the grass being mown, everything. VOCs bind to a receptor, and like that, a cascade of signals happens in the plant cell, leading to the synchronization of growth, for example, of blooming, of scenting to attract very specific pollinators like bees, butterflies, beetles, bats. They all prefer different scent profiles. The plant can make itself less edible or produce poison, or it can make some kind of sunscreen to protect itself against the hot sun. Plants can, for example, also produce defensive chemicals or release compounds that cause growth patterns to shift, to call for specific pest-eating insects to come save them, and much more. It is even being said that with hot weather like we are having today, the plants are calling in the rain by producing these hazy clouds of terpenic molecules that we can sometimes smell in the air, like this resinous, warm forest smell, which is so beautiful. The different tiny scent molecules that surround the plant can be measured with a machine that is called a GCMS, which is short for a gas chromatography mass spectrometry meter, which is the gold standard for identifying and quantifying VOCs. It measures all the present volatiles in the air at a certain situation and presents it in the form of a list with certain quantities, like a kind of formula. So from here you can start to understand and get a basic knowledge of what these compounds mean in the life of plants. And it reminds me a little bit of the Rosetta Stone, which helped decode the hieroglyphs. And by recognizing patterns and comparing certain situations with each other, we can see which molecule does what in the life of a plant. And thus we can learn about it like it is some kind of language. Most of my personal research I based on these GCMS, which are quite freely available on the internet. Also articles by Richard Carband, for example, that came out in around 2010, a couple of them talking about plant signaling and specific molecules and their role. Basically anything by Peter Wohlleben, but mostly The Hidden Life of Trees. I think it is his most popular book. It's not this one. It talks about trees, about interconnection. Also, when you like to read about trees, Susanne Simard is great. And if you, after this video, have some issues with dealing with plants, gardening, eating vegetables because you feel overly empathetic, I can recommend reading Second Nature by Michael Pollan. What a Plant Knows is a very nice, easy read about plants and plant sensing, which can still blow your minds when this field is new to you. Fun. Zoe Schlenger wrote The Light Eaters, and I really like this book. She seems very up to date with everything that is going on in the field right now. Then we have Nosedive, one of my favorite books, because it talks about scent molecules present in plants. It doesn't talk about what those plants scents mean in communication, but still it's nice to look into, for example, what makes the scent of a rose. Merlin Sheldrake wrote Entangled Life, which talks about trees, underground connection between trees and fungi and soil life. Super interesting. He's also great fun at parties. Who knew? And cut to Paris. I wanted to bring you to a more urban environment, and I used to live here for a little while near this neighborhood of Jardin de Luxembourg, and it has a personal history, so I thought it would be interesting. Hi, it's me, Merle. I'm at Jardin de Luxembourg in Paris now. And this place has personal meaning for me because when I used to live in Paris, I think I was 21, I was really looking for a place that felt a little bit like home. Growing up in a little forest, I really started to miss a little bit of greenery, a bit of laying in the grass, smelling some flowers, being amongst the trees. So I found this park really beautiful, especially the west side where I'm now, because it looks a little bit more wild. And I was so looking forward to finally find a fresh patch of grass to sit in. But it's actually not allowed here. So I just got illegally a little bit of grass, and I wanted to talk about it, because even when we cannot sit in the grass, we can still smell it. And now it's springtime. Yesterday the grass of the park has been mown, releasing this very easily recognizable scent, the fresh cut grass scent called cistrihexanol. When we use it in perfumery, it is extracted from mint via biotechnology, so it's like a more distilled version of mint in a very slow matter, done very precisely, tapping only the first molecules that are coming out in this process of distillation. So then you're able to isolate this fresh cut grass material and I think it's very beautiful. It's very interesting. The first time that I learned about it kind of shocked me, to be honest. And I really wanted to talk about it because when you talk about the ABCs of plant language, the meaning of scent in nature, I think this is one that really should be included because it's so prominent and so easy to recognize. Yet I don't think many people know exactly what it means when a plant is releasing this molecule. It is actually a stress signal. Yeah, some people say the grass is screaming when you smell this scent. Grass doesn't actually scream. It has a very different kind of experience of being in the world than human beings. Thank God. Or thank the cosmos, if that speaks to you more. But it signals damage. It helps defend the plant, so that's why I also included it in my perfume called Defend. And it's a note that is actually in each and every green plant. So there's about 12 molecules, scent molecules that can be made by different kinds of plants, and cistrihexanol is one of them. So you can also smell it in cut leaves, in flower shops, cut stems. Yeah, usually it means something about the plant is broken, but luckily many plants can miss a part of their body without screaming. Grass grows better when it's being mowed. But the first time I heard about this grass is screaming thing, I was shocked. That doesn't seem okay. But yeah, now I'm a little bit further and I can let you know it's okay. It's okay. So when you smell the grass, you smell this very green note, easily recognizable. It's a different kind of green of the coolness of mint, for example. Still, it's very present in mint. It smells different than galbanum, which is a perfume ingredient. It is really a scent that is like all of its own. It's very, very present in many different kinds of green materials actually. You can easily access it when you live in the city also. You can smell the grass, you can smell the leaves, you can smell fresh green food like lettuce in a grocery store. And it has been shown to have a very calming effect on human beings. It is being used in aromatherapy for calming people down. I think it's this recognition to the natural landscapes that we were once very clearly part of, and sometimes we forget. I think it is signaling peace to human beings, like being in a meadow, being on a patch of grass. It makes us feel safe and held, but it has such a different meaning in the life of plants that is really fascinating, I think. When the grass is being mown here, all the other plants, they are able to perceive the scent and they produce certain kinds of molecules to protect themselves for just in case if they're being mown as well, that they produce the different kinds of sap streams that actually would be able to heal the plant, to protect them against microbes, against predators. It can be the case that the trees here, the plants here are so used to grass being mown that they don't produce these anti-being mown kind of materials. But I don't know about that. I'm not a scientist, but that would be something definitely that I would be very happy to explore because I think it's interesting. Yeah, when you smell it in a perfume, it's typically a top note, which means it's quick to arise, easy to smell, but then also disappears quite quickly. It is extracted from mint. It is a natural material that we can easily access. There's a synthetic version as well, but it doesn't smell great. It's much cheaper, of course, but it doesn't smell the same. Oh yeah, and the street name is GLV. It's also called green leafy alcohol, or the combination of cistrihexanol and all the other green notes that make like this green scent. But I call it cistrihexanol. That's how I get it for my perfumes. Okay. Oh wow. Many things are happening in the park, but I'm very glad that now I've learned to talk in public a little bit more. It feels like a new skill being unlocked. It's very exciting. Okay.
to the next scene.
And when we talk about the meaning of scent in the life of plants, I think it's obvious that we should talk about flowers. These are some peonies. I bought them a couple days ago. I was trying to find some roses, but even in the fanciest flower shops of Paris, I couldn't find scented roses. They all had the unscented variants, which apparently makes them last longer. But I think that's not a good idea, right? Because if flowers inherently are meant to be scented, why would you remove the scent just to have them being in a vase for longer? I think it's the fleetingness
Let's go
of
to
flowers
Paris.
that makes them so beautiful. Anyways, I found peonies and they smell quite similar to roses in a way, a little bit different, obviously, but there are some molecules that they share and some molecules that are present in other white florals as well. For example, phenylethyl acetate and phenylethyl alcohol. Phenylethyl alcohol is this kind of very white, petally, blossoming, transparent, open scent. It's a little bit fruity note as well. There is linalool, which is also present in black tea, for example, but also in wood. That is a kind of a mixed signal because it means on the one hand it is trying to attract probably some pollinators, but also it is repelling some insects, like for example moths. That's also why I think in cedar wood there's linalool and it helps to repel moths from your clothing. So it has all kinds of interesting scents. I also smell a little bit of cystihexanol. So probably there's some damage, maybe some plant stress, which I can imagine. I mean, poor plant. But anyways, there's some geraniol as well, which is a typical attractant. And when you smell flowers in the wild, for example, at Jardin de Luxembourg, they all tend to smell quite different. And I think it's a nice little experiment to try and find out if you can find similarities between the plants that are attracting a lot of bees, for example, and the plants that are not attracting insects at all. Like, what do they smell like? Do they have a scent at all? Also, the scents of plants, they can be quite different if they're attracting different kinds of pollinators. So honeybees, for example, they are attracted more to like very sweet scent that are a little bit like more yellow in scent, I would say, like sweet honey, scent of dandelions, of mimosa, of all the flowers that bloom during the day, and then during the night or during the falling of the day. Is that Dutch? Or English. Anyways, at the end of the day, flowers will emit different kinds of scent, especially if they're attracting night pollinators or nocturnal pollinators, like bats and moths, and sometimes beetles as well. So jasmine, for example, it smells more like vanillic, more indolic, which is like more like this fecal scent. So more heady, more intoxicating. So that is interesting, something to be on the lookout for. Just try and go to be outside the coming weeks maybe. Smell every flower you see during the day, during the night, how it's different. Can be interesting. Okay. Oh, yes, also, I have a lemon here because I wanted to talk about repelling molecules. So limonene is present in citrus fruits, also sometimes in flowers when they're trying to repel. And limonene is present in many different kinds of citrus fruits, like all of them: bergamot, lemon, lime, grapefruit, Buddha's fingers. So that is one that is very easy to recognize because this is typically like fresh scent that also smells a little bit like cleaning agents. So that's how you recognize it. And I hope now you can recognize it in the wild.
And while I still have so much more to share, for example, about how I integrate this knowledge into making my natural perfumes, about perfume and history, about the tomato plants, about all the non-volatile ways that plants can communicate, for example, underground, about phytoncides and trees and well-being for all beings. There is still so much to say, so much to add to this conversation, but I think that is exactly the right feeling that I want to carry into the next episode. As a conceptual perfumer, I give myself the freedom to make poetic interpretations of science, breaking preconceptions about what perfume can be like and what it can mean, weaving together biology and spirituality, perfume and poetry. I want to stay curious because this field of science is always evolving, and my ultimate intention is to re-enchant people with the living world. I do so via my videos, and I try to do so very much via my natural perfumes. So if you're curious, you can go to linguaplanta.com and find my perfumes there, maybe in the shape of a discovery kit with tiny bottles. Very fun to explore. There's one called Attract, one Repel, one Defend, one talks about underground communication, much more. There's also a new perfume in the works. It's going to be launched in August, so that is very exciting. It won't be added to the discovery kit because it is a special scent, a field note scent. So I would love to hear if you learned something new today, or if you want to add to the conversation, if you have book tips, personal findings, curiosities about plants, all very welcome. And don't forget, any type of engagement with this video makes you enter into a giveaway, the grand prize of an experimental scent that I'm going to work on very soon. Thank you so much for listening. It really means the world. I'm sending you much love. Go forth and grow.